Hey guys, it's Numistaka and I'm back with you for part B of the latest mega unboxing. And before we start, I do want to be brutally honest with you and tell you that if you have no interest in sovereigns, then probably it's better to skip. But if you are interested in sovereigns of all different I won't say shapes and sizes, because fundamentally they're all pretty much the same shape and the same size, apart from the odd pied fort and larger ones. So we've got just a lot of sovereigns, just a massive number of beautiful condition sovereigns. There are a few others I think in here as well. One of these sovereigns is mine. A couple belong to different people, but it's predominantly one particularly amazing sovereign collector on the Silver Forum, and this is a part of his sovereign collection. I said before in part A that there was another coin with surface hairlines, and there are always going to be the odd thing where NGC disagree. Sometimes they'll go a little bit under, sometimes they'll go a little bit over. If you get a chance, there's a great video up on the Coin Week site that shows 4 coin experts going through grading 25 world coins. And whilst there's a lot of agreement, there's still quite a high variation based on personal subjective opinion of what a coin's grade is. So, as I said before, some of these were pretty much the way they were expected. Some of them were a little bit over, some of them were a little bit under, some unexpected detail slabs, but generally pretty good grades. Some of them are the best that there are. So Victoria, this is the veiled head. This was in the later years. There seems to be quite a few years where there are multiple different types of heads. Sometimes there's St George, sometimes there's St George and the shield, sometimes there's a Jubilee head and a veiled head, sometimes there's a Jubilee head and a young head, and in different parts of the world they took a decision to use different heads at different times on different years. There's probably some kind of rhyme or reason to it, but it evades me. But I think maybe they just wanted a little bit of variety. They wanted to have 2 or 3 different types of available in the same time period, and that's probably all there is to it really. And then gradually they moved predominantly towards the older heads as Victoria got older. One of the things that this collection shows is just how interesting you can make a sovereign collection. Sovereigns are a great size. So a bullion sovereign is about £240, £250, maybe $300, $320 in American money, and it puts it into expensive, but for a coin collector, affordable in inverted commas. There are good condition sovereigns, and in fact a lot of the ones that I've graded for this guy, they are not bottom of the range bullion type sovereigns. They are several levels higher, and you can see this one is a Jubilee sovereign, and it has an S number on, which is the Spink reference for a variety of and some of these varieties, they only made literally 3 or 4% of the amount of sovereigns they made have these particular varieties. And there are some great books, the Sovereign book, and some great reference guides online to show the different varieties of the Jubilee head sovereign. This is another variety one. A lot of the variety ones are from Australia, so Sydney and Melbourne made quite a few varieties of those Jubilee sovereigns. Here's another variety. I can't remember, one of these varieties was a long tail, which is one I quite like, and I'll try and point that out when we see it. This is the UK, Great Britain, 1887. 1887 was Victoria's Jubilee year, so that was why they did that special head for a few years from 1887 onwards, with a brand new portrait of Victoria balancing this tiny crown on top of her head. I have a hunch maybe her crown was a little bit bigger than that in reality, but I'm not sure. So all of these coins, in fact, really no dogs at all. I mean, all of these are lovely. I mean, look at this one. I think this one actually is the one with the long tail. So you can see on the horse's tail, it almost stretches right down to the line, and that's the long tail variety. I don't think the long tail variety on an 1871 is particularly scarce, but it's still an interesting variety and nice to have it recorded. So we've got a young head, which is also young head St George, another variety. And you're welcome to, if you've got a copy of Spink, then Coins of England, then freeze frame the video and go back and take a look at the variety codes, and then you can see exactly which varieties they were that have got graded. But as I said before in the last video, it would be very nice if NGC had a little bit more information actually on the label about what the variety was, and I think that would make it a little bit nicer. And I think some of the varieties, they haven't necessarily been putting in different sections of the census either, so it's quite difficult sometimes for some of these varieties to see how many of them have been slabbed, because they've included them with the with the top level coin. This one is my one. This is my coin. It got an AU50. If you remember from my video visiting DNW auctioneers, this was picked up at the last DNW auction in Mayfair. On balance, I think that it probably, I was hoping it would get a 53 or something like that, or maybe a 55. It got a 50, and I think graded it's probably worth pretty much what I paid for it at the auction. I really don't think that I've made any money on this, but I don't think I've lost any money either. I think an AU50 is perfectly nice grade of coin, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's actually an 1820 closed 2 variety. This one is certainly worth a mention. This is the property of the Silver Forum member who collects lots of sixpences, and this is the best graded coin of its year at NGC now. It is a truly spectacularly beautiful coin, very, very rare. It was kind of used at the time, it would have been preserved by somebody all these years, because most of those got worn down to the ground. Very unusual. Another Australian sovereign, an AU58. Sometimes it's quite difficult to tell between an AU58 and an MS61 or MS62, maybe a little bit more luster on the 61, 62, but I've had coins that I thought were 61 easily have been a 58, and generally there's a little bit of difference in price, but between 58 and 61 not a lot. This one unfortunately got a details grade, but it's a very nice William IV sovereign, sorry, George IV sovereign with the laureate head. It just maybe had a few blemishes, a few surface hairlines, which seem to be the bane of some of these coins. A lot of these coins have been cleaned or tampered with over the years. They're pretty old coins, and finding the ones which have been not tampered with can be quite difficult. This one didn't do badly. 1827. It's a genuine coin. You can see that the patina is a little bit different. It has been worn. It's been used. It's been used in shops. It's a historical coin, and it got a VF30. So I don't think it did badly. Didn't get a details grade. It got a genuine grade, and it's a really nice coin, I think, even though it's not an uncirculated coin. So some of the king head ones, Australia, P for Perth Mint. Another 1922 did pretty well, MS62. The younger sovereigns get, the more of the high grades there are around. So a lot of the king heads grade pretty well. 1930p, I think that's probably a little bit rarer than some of the earlier ones. That one did pretty well. an MS64, very good. 64, 65 on any of these is really, really good. Australia, 1905, Perth, so 95 would make it Edward the 7th. $1930 for Melbourne, got a 58. To me that looks a little bit higher than a 58, but I guess the graders know best. 1906, P for Perth, Western Australia, 61. 1927. I mean, what you can see from all these different sovereigns is, how you can go on pretty much indefinitely building a collection. If you want to cover every year, every mint, there are some things that are unobtainable. Some dates that are just incredibly expensive, like 1841, 1838, 1839. I bought recently an 1859, which was more expensive than average. South Africa, 1923 or 1924. There are some dates and some of these coins, some of the proofs, that are going to be more than more than average. But I would say, if you want to spend even $30 to $50 over the bullion value of a sovereign, you can pick up a steady stream of really nice coins that have great historical value for really very, very good prices. And if when the gold bullion price dips, you see what you can pick up in the way of sovereigns, then it is possible over time to pick these up, and it would be a pretty good investment. If you want to pick up the better sovereigns and you're worried about grading them yourself, then eBay is a very good source of sovereigns. There's a steady stream of graded sovereigns on eBay, and you quite often find that you can even pick up Victorian 58 or 61 for, I suppose, anything between $400 and $700 a coin graded, if they achieve a good grade. And I mean, just look at these coins. It's lovely. Look, you can see when they're in good condition like this, with a lot of luster, just how nice the work is on them. They are an absolute icon, really. Okay, a British icon, and you guys over in America and Canada have your own icons, but you'll see a little bit later in this video. And in fact, hang around if you like Canadian sovereigns, because there are some pretty spectacular coins coming up right at the end of this video of some of the very rare sovereigns produced by the Canadian Mint, the Ottawa Mint. Okay, so we're starting with those. The 1910, which have the Edward the 7th picture. I think some of the very early ones are very rare, maybe R3, R4 kind of rarity. And of course 1916 is the absolute rarest one of all, where almost all the 1916 coins were melted. So I think 1916 is probably something like anything between $20,000 and $25,000, maybe even more than that, for a coin. So correct me if I'm wrong, please. 1917 is rare. 1917 in this grade is absolutely amazing. This one is a grading that has certainly added a considerable value onto this coin. I mean, look at this coin. It's a great coin, beautiful coin, and 1917 is a rare year for the Canadian sovereigns. 1918 is almost as rare, and I think 1919 almost as rare as well. So all in all, fabulous collection of sovereigns, and the guy who owns most of these did very, very well and deserves to be congratulated on accumulating such a wonderful collection of coins. Hope you liked the video, and hang around and watch some more soon.